Hello and welcome to Out of My Mind. My name is Robison, and I'm going to be talking today about OCD and what it is and what it isn't, and how it's been misrepresented. Um, Diving right in, OCD, you probably think of OCD as being all of your pencils have to be uh, sharpened to a fine point and laid in parallel lines, or you think someone with OCD has to color code their bookshelves in their library. Um, that is because that's what TV has been telling you. But that is actually a very small part and a tangential part of most OCD. In fact, the journal Psychology Today has written extensively on this subject about misrepresentation in the media, and it takes particular umbrage with Monk. He doesn't seem to have any idea what he's talking about. This is in reference to the creator of Monk. He doesn't seem to have any idea what he's talking about because he's drawn his references exclusively from television and film, where OCD symptoms are generally depicted as neatness and fastidiousness, and not as a spiral of madness or soul crushing existential dread. Now, did you catch the point there where he said that OCD is about a spiral of madness and soul crushing existential dread? That's what OCD is, and that is why it bugs people like me so much when on Facebook I see it all the time where someone will show their desk and it's all tidy, uh, and they'll say, "Oh, I'm so OCD." No, you're not OCD. You like things to be tidy. The one place where it kind of works is that there is a mental illness that is known as OCPD, which is obsessive compulsive personality disorder. OCPD is basically everything that you think of when you think about OCD. OCPD is everything has to be lined up, everything has to be alphabetical, everything has to be parallel, it has to be neat and tidy. One of the ways in which this actually does fit with OCD is that OCD people are quite often obsessed with numbers. I myself am not obsessed with organization, but I am obsessed with addresses and phone numbers, and any number that I see, I have to turn it into a math equation, and I have to make that math equation balance somehow. So, for example, the house that I grew up in, the house number was 1025. That's a really easy one because you have 10, and then you have 2 times 5 equals 10. So they match up. Or the house that I'm in right now is 431. And that's another easy one. You just have 3 and you add the 1 and you get 4 and you've already got a 4. And if there is a number that I can't do that with, I get very, very uptight. And we'll talk more about that in just a minute. So let's explain really quickly what OCD is. Let's break it down into its parts. Obsessive compulsive disorder. You have an obsession. Let's say your obsession is germs. You are germophobic. Then you have a compulsion. The compulsion would be I have to eradicate all germs or I have to avoid all germs. And the disorder comes from this obsession and this compulsion make it impossible for me to function either professionally, socially, in society, mentally, however. So let's talk about the 5 pillars of OCD. These are not all of the things that OCD uh, stands on, but these are the 5 biggest categories of things that OCD is related to. The first one is called checking. And with checking, basically what you are doing is you are, say you're laying in bed at night, and you think, oh crap, did I leave the door unlocked? So you go downstairs and you check the door and you check the lock and you turn it several times to make sure, yes, the lock is working, and yes, it's locked. And then you think, well, did I lock the back door? Did I close the garage? Did I leave the stove on? Did I leave the curling iron on? Did I leave whatever on? These are all part of checking, which is a big part of OCD. The next pillar of OCD is washing and cleaning. That relates, as we just talked about, to the germophobia, and that is a very common thing. But washing and cleaning isn't always related to germophobia, but it very often is. A good example to think of with I mean, because you could very easily say, well, washing and cleaning, there's nothing wrong with that. Washing and cleaning are great. It keeps the house clean and everyone healthy. With OCD, remember, we're talking about it being a disorder, meaning that as such, it makes it impossible for you to function normally. OCD washing and cleaning, we're going to use the example of cooking with raw chicken. Normally, if you're cooking with raw chicken, you cut up the chicken, you put it in a frying pan, or you put it in a roasting pan, or whatever, and then you take the cutting board and the knife and you put them in a sink and you wash them, or you put them in the dishwasher and wash them. With OCD, it would not be enough to just wash them. You would need to spray everything down with Lysol, or scrub everything with bleach. And then you've got it on your hands, and so you have to wash your hands. And you wash them with harsh soap, with steel wool, or with lye. And you scrub them until your hands start to bleed. The thing about washing and cleaning is that you scrubbing your hands until they bleed doesn't take care of the problem. The problem is that you have in your head this idea that this raw chicken is going to make someone sick. It's going to give them salmonella. It's going to give them, you might explode on that idea. You might say it's going to give them Ebola. It's going to give them E. coli. It's going to give them the hantavirus. I don't know. But it's going to give them something horrible. And then they're going to go to the hospital and they're going to die. And then I'm going to be charged with murder. And I'm going to go to prison. And then I'm going to receive the death penalty. That is how OCD balloons out of just merely washing my hands a lot. The next one on the list is scrupulosity. And scrupulosity is an interesting one for me, and it's one of the ones that I struggle with the most. Scrupulosity basically assigns a moral value to everything that you do. It takes your action and informs you whether or not God, karma, the universe, whatever, is going to judge you right or wrong for the action that you took. And this happens to me all the time, where I do something seemingly insignificant, like I make a peanut butter sandwich. Maybe it's too late in the evening, and I'm not supposed to be eating that late in the evening, but I make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. And my mind says that is bad for your diet, and you are going to be held accountable both in this life and the next life for the horrible things that you are doing right now, eating that peanut butter sandwich. Scrupulosity is awful, and I hate it, and we'll move on. Um, the next pillar is ordering and repeating. That is the one that is most commonly thought of when people think of OCD, is ordering and repeating. Um, yes, it is a thing. I know that I just badmouthed Monk for ordering and repeating, um, but uh, it is a real thing. Um, it just is not the only thing. So, ordering and repeating. Finally, the last one is hoarding. Um, Let me give you an example of hoarding, because yes, there is hoarding, such as the show on TV on I think TLC called Hoarders, um, where it shows people who have uh, newspapers stacked 6 feet high, and they have never thrown anything away, and they uh, do all sorts of disgusting things. They collect egg cartons, and they collect garbage, and they collect uh, beer cans, and they just fill up their house until they can't uh, live anywhere. Um, there is that hoarding, and that is absolutely a part of OCD. But there are also parts of OCD that are more minor, or parts of hoarding that are more minor. For example, I will give you a contrast between myself and my mom. My mom does not have OCD, I think, but she is a collector. And what she collects are nativity scenes. And she has well over 100 of them, maybe close to 200 of them. And they're from all over the world. And they're gorgeous. And she, every Christmas season, she brings them up from the basement. She has a catalog of them. And she will go through and she'll say, all right, I want these from Eastern Europe, and I want these from Africa, and this one from Peru, and this one from Mexico. And she will put them out in uh, the family rooms and living rooms of the house, and she will decorate, and it's all very beautiful. And she'll also donate them to be displayed in city festivals and in Christmas festivals. That is all fine because it in no way is making it difficult for her to function in normal society. So it would not be considered hoarding because it isn't a disorder. It doesn't fit that disorder. Now, let me tell you about myself. A couple of years ago, I play a game called Warhammer, and I have, since I was a little kid, I have been playing tabletop wargaming, which is basically where you take miniature figures, miniature soldiers, and they you fight battles with these soldiers. I collect, and it's a very expensive hobby because a box of soldiers of 10 soldiers might cost you $55, and you need several of these. And there was a time not very long ago when my OCD was not being managed at all, when I would go to the game store and I would buy 5 boxes of different things. And they would just, I would go home and I would open up one of the boxes and I'd put together some of the guys and maybe I'd paint one of them. And then I would go to the game store again later and buy $200 more of these, and they would stack up. And as recently, I mean, I eventually sold them uh, when things were getting better under control. I sold them, um, but as recently as a couple months ago, my kids have found additional boxes of these games that I didn't even remember I had, where they're still in their shrink wrap, and who knows where they came from. Um, so that also fits into the category of hoarding. All right, so that is a good overview of what OCD is, and I will be talking in coming episodes about OCD and living with it and managing it, but also some of the other mental illnesses I have: the depression, schizophrenia, dermatillomania. Um, Talking about all of these things. The hope is to publish every Monday and every Thursday. And I would love for you to subscribe by hitting this button over here and subscribing to this. And thank you so much for listening. I will see you next time.